You do have a driver out here that is very vulnerable because, yeah, you have no ammo whatsoever. But why is it interesting is the fact that if the driver actually gets knocked out, the commander can take over the driving. As you can see, commander can drive the vehicle. And the best part is that they actually don't swap the place. Like, the driver can be out for a very long time and the commander will still be right where he is. Oh. Wait, how am I still driving? Oh hey, it's my French cousin. Hey guys, it's Jim here, and welcome back to War Thunder. And in today's video, I'm kinda taking a quick break from Heroes and Generals by his War Thunder series, because while I was making the video for the Panzer 2C, Gaijin decided to drop the update that's basically the summer event, the summer grind event. And of course, I was pretty much spending the time grinding it. And this is actually the reward that you get from getting 4 of these. Where is it? Getting 4 of these. Mark of distinction. And so you know what, it's a free premium, it's easy to get, so the real question is whether or not. So this is the armored car of the summer grind event, and I am not going to pronounce it because I have no clue what exactly all this stands for, so I'm just going to call this a baby puma. Anyway, the F actually stands for French, or France, or if I pronounce it in Germany. And as you can tell, if this vehicle looks any familiar to you, that is because this is actually a captured French AMD armored car that the Germans captured, and they basically stuck a 50mm from the Panzer 3F on board. As you can see, 20mm right here, 15mm right here, 15mm at all angles, as well as a 26mm plate right here. And here's the baby puma, as you can tell. 20mm around here, 15mm right here, 26mm and 15mm at all angles. So that means, the good news is that small machine guns cannot really kill you with this thing. But unfortunately, I cannot see the same thing for the autocannons and 50 caliber machine guns. Those guys can really tie you up. And not to mention, what makes this thing even worse is that the turret doesn't really cover all the way around, so that means if anybody comes up behind you, doesn't matter whether your armor is strong enough against small machine guns, you're gonna get shot anyway. You're gonna get machine gunned anyway from the back. As well as, yes, it is an open top vehicle, so that means high explosive of any kind can actually one-shot you just by hitting you literally anywhere. Now that's something to keep in mind. The good news is that light armor, as you can tell, very excellent mobility. 105 horsepower engine for something this light. So that means, yes, going up to 72 kilometers an hour is really not an issue. Something to keep in mind, however, is that I do wish the horsepower engine is a little bit more. And the reason is because if you're driving off-road in this thing, yeah, it can be a problem. Especially since wheeled vehicles don't really do well in off-road situations. Now another thing to keep in mind, you do have a very good forward and reverse gear, so I'll give you that. But one small issue is the fact that these 2 front wheels right here are the steering wheels. And why is that a problem? If you're driving in the urban areas, like for example Eastern Europe or something, one of those maps that is basically a lot of buildings all around, that's something you need to keep in mind because this vehicle has a very wide turning circle. Especially when you compare it with the Puma, where all 8 wheels are steering wheels. With only 2 wheels in the front that steers, yeah, it does have a very wide turning circle. So that's something to keep in mind. Don't Austin power yourself between 2 buildings. Now there's something to keep in mind about this thing's survivability. You do have a driver out here that is very vulnerable because, yeah, you have no ammo whatsoever. But why is it interesting is the fact that if the driver actually gets knocked out, the commander can take over the driving. As you can see, commander can drive the vehicle. And the best part is that they actually don't swap the place. Like, the driver can be out for a very long time and the commander will still be right where he is. Secret survivability feature, I guess. And then moving on the firepower of this thing, like I said, this is the Panzer 3F cannon, the 50mm KwK F42 cannon. As you can see, the exact same gun. I probably should do a video for the Panzer 3F, and like, at battle rating 1.3, this 50mm is nasty. Anyway, this 50mm as it goes, we'll be using this shell, the armor piercing cam round. Armor piercing cam round that pans up to 80mm of armor with only 17 grams of explosive mass. That's something you need to keep in mind. There will be tanks that are a little bit spaced out, but at least, hey, you got a very good angle of penetration. Now, something to keep in mind is that you don't have a machine gun on this thing. Let me fix that real quick. Aha! Now we have a machine gun. Anyway, you don't have a machine gun on this thing, so that's something to keep in mind. As well as the next thing is that you don't have access to a high explosive. It shouldn't really come as a surprise because this 50mm is meant to take out tanks. But anyway, no machine gun, no high explosive. Why is that an issue? If you come across an open top vehicle or one of those milk truck SPAs, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of difficulty dealing with them. My advice is either you should where 2 of 3 crewmen are, which is the cabin, or you shoot the gunner. Anyway, you do have access to APCR, which has a penetration of 116mm of armor, with that really poor angle of penetration. However, something to keep in mind is that in the other aspects of the gun, you can only carry up to 26 rounds of ammunition. Yeah, it's not really a lot. So my advice is just bring all 26 rounds of APC. Now firstly is that if you did bring all 26 rounds, it's not really gonna matter. Most of the time I die because of crewman death rather than ammo rack, so not like it really makes a difference to me. Then 2 is that if you come across a tank that you cannot penetrate with your APC, like the M3 Lee or the Valentine Mark 1, it really doesn't matter, honestly. Like APCR is not really gonna go through the front. So why bring APCR? Just use APC. Why the hell not? Now the other aspects, you do have a fast reloading weapon, 4.2 seconds, which is pretty much the same as the Panzer 3F. So if you don't have the this undercover version, there's nothing wrong with using the Panzer 3F. Anyway, stock reload is only around 5.2 seconds, which is actually still pretty fast for a APC with high explosive. So yeah, this will definitely sit well in reserve tier. Anyway, if you think this thing don't have a full 180-degree turret rotation, it actually does. And then vertical guidance, negative 12 gun depression, which is pretty excellent. Usually it's around negative 10, but negative 12 is really good, especially since this vehicle is one of those ambush position, flank and spank vehicles. Negative 12 gun depression is very good for it. Which is actually pretty good, considering the fact that most of the tanks in this battle rating don't really have a very good turret rotation speed by comparison. Except of course SPAA. But there will be moments where you wish your gun was a little bit faster in turning. So my advice is make sure your gun is pointed in the right direction before you move out from cover or whatever. But anyway, no gun stabilizer. But for some reason this gun doesn't really bounce too much, so it's not like I really don't care about it not having a gun stabilizer. And so they have the baby Puma. Now at the moment I think you can still grind for it if you want it. I highly advise you get it immediately because they only need 4 of them. And there's a very good chance that if this thing ever appears in the Gaijin marketplace, it's probably gonna cost like a few $1,000s. Considering how good this thing actually is, so yeah. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this vehicle. Now let's take this thing out into battle. And hopefully I can make work with this thing because, as you all know, flank and spanking is really not my forte. There's somebody inside. I can hear him.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Get off. Ah, crud. There's a second guy up there, I think.
Artillerieschlag! Koordinaten? Bravo! 6. Zerstören!
Bravo! 6! Bestätige! Feuer eröffnet!
Keep it up and victory will be ours. Another zone captured. We have the advantage. Artillerieschlag! Koordinaten! Bravo! 7. Zerstören!
Bravo! 7! Bestätige! Feuer eröffnet!
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
Oh, still alive. Ooh.
Let's keep the pressure on. Enemy forces have captured that zone.
Right here, buddy. Oh my lord, who's still alive in here?
We've captured most of the strategic zones. We're winning.
Here comes conservation. You didn't even pull up. Bro, come on. Oh, come on. Don't you just steal my kills to it? Thank you.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
I thought there was something. Fight me, artillery. God damn it.
Another zone captured. We have the advantage. Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close. Most of the strategic zones are captured. Enemy forces have captured a zone.
Yeah, bombing the Donny 17Z is not easy.
Defend the B point.
Oh, come on, get the last guy.
zones.